Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one we are going to head to Malmö in southern Sweden once again, quite close to me here in Lund in fact, but this is the newest craft brewery that's opened up in Malmö, and this is Lilla Ölfabriken, and we're going to have a taste of their Öltapparens brown ale today. So if you've watched my channel before, you will know that I really do quite enjoy a nice brown ale, so I'm very interested to see what this one's like. It should be a really interesting review for us, and I will apologise if any of my Swedish pronunciations aren't quite right. I've only just started learning Swedish, so hopefully you'll bear with me for that. But anyway, as always with my reviews, I'll tell you a little bit about the brewery. If you do want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. All the usual links are in the video description below. The brewery website, the link to my future reviews that I'll do from Lilla Ölfabriken, and also the Facebook page for the channel and the Untappd profile as well. So feel free to connect with me in whatever way you wish. Always interesting to hear from you guys who are watching the videos, and Swedish viewers, please let me know some Swedish beers that I should have a look at. But anyway, as I told you, this brewery is based in Malmö in Skåne in southern Sweden, which is actually very close to the University Hospital, the brewery building. But they were founded in 2014 by Alan Dugan, who has a very Scottish name. I'd be interested to know if he actually is Scottish, but he previously ran the world's smallest brewery in Malmö, and he's joined at the brewery by Patrick Persson, who is a fellow beer enthusiast. But they brewed their first beers in Lunda Bryggeriet, my local brewery here in Sweden, and they made their debut at the Malmö Beer and Whiskey Festival in the spring of 2014, and the beers appeared in Systembolaget later that year, and they've been growing quite steadily ever since then. They've increased their range of beers. So just to list the other beers you can get from these guys, there's Öltapparens brown ale, which is this guy here, Fabrikorens folk ale, Melkesans Fleder, Brigardens Lakritz, and also Direktorens ale. And apologies again if any of those pronunciations aren't quite right, but if you go on the brewery website you'll get more of an idea of what these beers are like. So this guy should be a really interesting one for us to try. Just say on the side a little bit about it. It's modelled on a British or an English brown ale, and it has some American hops in it as well, I believe, and it's made. It's a beer from Lilla Ölfabriken in Malmö. It just says that on the side there in Swedish. You can see it's actually quite I don't know how well you can see that. Just put that up there so you can see it. But it's actually quite nicely presented, this label, a nice little bit of modern art, but all of the beers have this little hand on the front there just to show that it is a little kind of beer that you're drinking, and this is another symbol on the side here of Lilla Ölfabriken, but really quite nicely presented. It comes in at 4.6%, and as I say, it's supposed to be some kind of mix between an English brown ale and an American brown ale. It's got some American hops in it, so probably some nice American fruity flavours in it. Plain bottle cap on this one. So yeah, without further ado, let's get stuck in and have a go with this guy. Really interested to see what this is like. So as you can see, nice kind of smoky opening on the beer there. I'm not sure if this one is an organic beer actually. I have a feeling on the side of the bottle and on the actual label when I bought it in Systembolaget in Lund, in Malmö, sorry, it actually said, yeah, it's ekologisk, they call it in Sweden. So yeah, this is an organic beer as far as I can tell, so should be quite a nice one actually. So yeah, as you can see, this beer has poured a really nice sort of dark mahogany chestnut colour, really quite attractive looking beer. There's a half finger of a frothy, slightly beigey coloured head, a very light beige coloured head on this one actually, maybe creamy is a better colour to describe it with, but it looks really nice. There's some big bubbles sticking towards the side of the glass. You can see the real colour of this beer if I just put the light over it a little bit, but yeah, a nice dark chestnutty character to this one. It looks really nice, quite a few little bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head there, and some bigger bubbles sticking on the side of the glass. It looks very nice, and that kind of head is just going to fade away and be a very thin foamy layer soon. But in terms of the nose on this one, there's a good bit of sweet chocolate in there actually, but you can smell underneath that some darker chocolate as well. A nice roasted coffee is coming out of this beer. You can smell some of the American hops too. There is a little bit of a grapefruity or peachy note coming out of this one. Really interesting. You can really smell some of these fruity characters in this beer. But yeah, it has all the typical elements you would expect of an English brown ale and of the American brown ale too. So you've got a nice slightly dark roasted coffee element coming out of it. That's quite mild once you sugar it up a bit, but there's some nice bready malts in there, a toasted malty caramel flavour in there, aroma rather, and there is a wee bit of a kind of yeasty bread coming out too. It's that typical kind of yeasty, slightly bready note that you get from some of these organic beers. You can really smell that in it. Nice little bit of nutty and woody character too. I mean, you can smell that nice sweet chocolate at the back of the beer too. And there is I just want to say there's just a little bit of a roasted coffee in there that kind of underpins the aroma of this beer. It's really quite nicely done actually in terms of the aroma, but you can smell some of the earthy hop characters, and there is a bit of fruitiness coming out of this one too. Maybe some peaches or a little bit of grapefruit or something like that. But yeah, it smells a really nice beer. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this guy. So this guy is the Öltapparens brown ale. Apologies about the pronunciation again, but the Öltapparens brown ale from Lilla Ölfabriken in Malmö in Skåne in southern Sweden. Skål! That's quite interesting. It's a lot more roasted in the flavour than the aroma would have you think. Yeah, really nice and roasted actually. A nice light roasted coffee malt base on this one. You've got a bit of bread that just blankets the tongue, but overall the mouthfeel of this beer is actually quite a wet one. It's an unusual one, but the flavours are all there. It's a very unusual mouthfeel for a brown ale in comparison to some of the other ones I've tried, but all of the different flavours that you expect are there. So just let your palate adjust to this beer a little bit before you think too much about the flavour. The flavours come in a different combination in this beer, I think. Yeah. The coffee, the roasted coffee in this actually comes across as a bit more prominent. But as you would expect, it is a malt forward beer, but you can detect a good bit of hoppy character in this too. So it's slightly toasted. You get a nice light kind of bready flavour just goes across the top of your palate there. Not really yeasty as I was picking up in the aroma, but just a very light sort of dark pale malt bready flavour that just goes across the tongue. There's a bit, if you pay attention to the middle of your palate, there is some nice sweet caramel goes right down the centre of the palate, and some sweeter chocolate in the middle of the palate too. That just kind of blends together really quite well. But there is a kind of, I'm picking up a little bit of a woody or a nutty flavour in this one, but that's really quite subtle. The malt part of the beer really is a kind of quite dry and bitter roasted coffee character. That kind of comes in and then it really punches its way forward as you go into the aftertaste of this beer. Really nice actually. Yeah. At the back corners of the palate you can pick up a little bit of earthy hop character there, and it becomes a bit smoother and maybe slightly grassy as you go round the edges of the palate there towards the front of the tongue. But around the edges you can also pick up some of the nice juicy fruit character. So I want to say there's a mix of red fruits in there, but I can also pick up a little bit of some of the American hop fruits. So there's a little bit of a kind of tropical and slightly citrusy character to it, I want to say. Yeah, there's definitely some sort of citrusy and slightly tropical flavour in there. It's not quite as juicy as oranges, but maybe it's a bit of a kind of a slightly tropical and very slightly grapefruit or peachy flavour that's coming out of this beer. It is quite subtle and quite hard to detect exactly what it is, but it is definitely there. You'll notice that there's a little oily bubble behind the very front curve of your tongue, and you'll just feel some of these fruit flavours coming out there. Yeah, definitely a kind of slightly tropical note, maybe just a little bit of peach there, but there is a kind of a slightly berryish and maybe candied fruit flavour in there too. It's quite subtle. It's more of that sharper fruit that's coming out, and it's a really interesting little tweak rather that this fruity character's given off. It's thrown me off a little bit actually. Yeah, the fruity character's interesting because there is a little bit of that slightly tropically or citrusy fruit in there, but I want to say there's a little bit of a candied fruit flavour too. You can pick up a little bit of candied fruit and maybe just a little bit of the kind of sharp estery flavours that you would expect of like raisins or plums or figs or something like that. Actually, the fruity character in this one is quite interesting, but the most prominent component of this beer, it is a more malt forward beer and it is quite coffee focused as you move into the aftertaste there, and it becomes a little bit dry and bitter with some grassy hop around the edge of the palate there. It's really quite a nice beer this, and I would definitely drink it again. If you're into brown ales that are a bit more coffee forward, then this one really is for you. Yeah, there is a definite slightly citrusy or tropical fruit to this one, and you can pick up, it's got quite a wet mouthfeel, so you'll notice it just behind the very front of the tongue. It's interesting, the flavours in this brown ale come quite differently in comparison to some of the other varieties of this style that I've tried before. But in terms of the mouthfeel of this beer, as I was saying, it's quite a light-bodied beer, smooth carbonation on this one, and slightly oily, particularly behind the front of the tongue, but overall it's quite a light and quite a wet mouthfeel to this beer. There's a good bit of dry, malty, bitter character from the coffee flavours, but in the middle of the palate it does have a little bit of sweetness, as I say, some kind of bready, nutty and caramel flavours in there, but it is quite coffee forward, if you like, and it becomes more so as you drink it. But there's just a little bit of hoppy character too, some smooth earthy hop, then it becomes grassy around the front of the tongue, and there is just a little bit of unusual fruity character to this beer as well. So overall it's a really quite interesting beer, and I wouldn't hesitate to go and try some of the other beers from this brewery as well. But I would say with this one, if you like a kind of coffee forward brown ale, then this one is definitely for you. But it's been a really interesting beer, and as a brown ale enthusiast, I have quite enjoyed this one. It's got a nice roasted bitter character to it, so I would definitely say go check it out, and it will test your palate a little bit because of those American hop flavours that are in there. I couldn't pick up exactly what it is, but a little bit of citrus and maybe some kind of peachy or grapefruit flavours, and a little bit of red candied fruit or something too. So it's a nice coffee forward brown ale with a little interesting hop character to it. So I would say go and check it out. I look forward to trying some of the other beers from these guys, so hopefully I can go back down to Malmö soon and get some of the other ones. But anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. It's been really cool to review yet another Swedish brewery for you. So if you find yourself in Malmö, go and check out Lilla Ölfabriken. I think there are quite a few of the bars down there, especially Beer House, have a couple of their beers on tap, so do go and check them out. Really interesting brewery, organic beers as well for those of you who are into that. But I thank you for watching my beer reviews. As always, if you have tried this one, please let me know your own thoughts on it in the comments box below. Thanks for watching my beer reviews again. There will be many more Swedish ones for you to come, but until then, please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Hope you've enjoyed this beer review, and slàinte for now.